PN will be holding an extraordinary meeting on Thursday to appoint a new chairperson. This is following Muhyiddin's resignation. Its Deputy Secretary General Takiyuddin Hassan said today that the coalition's next chairperson does not have to be a party president. Stay tuned for this and more on KiniNews. PN Deputy Secretary General Takiyuddin Hassan has stressed that the coalition's next chairperson does not have to be from among the presidents of its component parties. According to Takiyuddin, the coalition's constitution does not limit the top position to the party president level. He said this in a press conference today, which was held to clarify several issues surrounding the coalition's top post.
So, PAS berpandangan whoever, kalaulah di kalangan parti-parti anggota itu bersetuju PAS menjadi parti yang mengetuai Perikatan Nasional. So whoever nominated or proposed by PAS to be elected as chairman of Perikatan Nasional, he is qualified. Not necessarily president of PAS. Itu yang kita faham. And based on the provision in the constitution. Tidak ada syarat.
Takiyuddin issued a notice last Friday calling for an extraordinary meeting of the PN Supreme Council. He said the meeting scheduled for this Thursday will see the remaining 16 Supreme Council members decide whether to accept the resignation of Bersatu President Muhyiddin Yassin as PN chairperson. Should the resignation be accepted, Takiyuddin said the council would then discuss which party should lead the coalition. Besides confirming Muhyiddin's resignation and appointing his successor, another agenda for the meeting is the election of a meeting chairperson from among its deputy chairpersons, as per Clause 8.3(2)(b) of the coalition's constitution. Meanwhile, Bersatu and PAS are said to have reached an agreement to establish a PN Presidential Council, with Muhyiddin set to assume its top position. A source told Malaysia Kini that the agreement was finalized during a recent meeting involving the party's top leaders. The move is seen as a compromise that allows the Bersatu president to continue serving in PN following his resignation as the coalition's chairperson. According to the source, a meeting attended by Abdul Hadi Awang, Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man, Takiyuddin Hassan, Muhyiddin, and Azmin Ali resulted in an agreement to give executive power to the Presidential Council. Meanwhile, the PN Executive Council would oversee administrative matters. Muhyiddin is expected to be appointed chairperson of the Presidential Council, which is to be established soon, while PAS leaders would take charge of the coalition's administration. The source added that amendments to the PN Constitution would be required to facilitate these changes. Speaking on condition of anonymity, the Bersatu source said the Executive Council would manage daily operations and administrative duties and may put forward proposals, but all final decisions would rest with the Presidential Council. From now on, you can also listen to KiniNews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scan the QR code on the screen to follow us. Salwani Anuar Kamaruddin, a wife of former Army Chief Hafizuddeain Jantan, was charged at the Kuala Terengganu Sessions Court today. She was charged with receiving proceeds from unlawful activities amounting to 5,000 ringgit last year. Salwani pleaded not guilty after the charge was read out before Judge Azhar Othman. According to Bernama, she is accused of receiving proceeds from illegal activities in the form of 5,000 ringgit, which was deposited into her bank account. The charge against Salwani was framed under subsection 4(1)(b) of the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act 2001. The court granted bail on the same terms as those previously imposed by the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court, which is 30,000 ringgit in 2 sureties. Salwani is also required to report to the nearest MECC office monthly and surrender her passport to the court. The judge also fixed March 30th for mention and allowed the case to be transferred to the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court to be tried together with the earlier case involving Salwani. Moving on to UMNO, tensions are rising between the party's youth wing and Amanah as the latter seeks a more equitable share of seats to contest in the next Melaka and Johor state elections. This is instead of using the Madani coalition's incumbency formula. Yesterday, Amanah Communications Director Khalid Abdul Samad suggested that if BN and Pakatan Harapan were to contest under the coalition government in Melaka and Johor, careful consideration over seat allocations and negotiations must be taken into account to ensure fairness and on equity. He pointed out that most assembly seats in both states were controlled by their BN incumbents. He added that prioritizing incumbent candidates would no longer be appropriate, as it could jeopardize equity within the coalition, especially among Harapan components. Khalid was quoted as saying by Sina Harian that if they continue to use the incumbency policy, it is clearly unfair. He added that he hoped UMNO and BN will be open to handing over some of the seats they hold to partners within the government. He said that if an agreement cannot be reached, Amanah would not rule out the possibility of testing public support through three-cornered fights, just like how BN and Harapan clashed against each other in the 2025 Sabah state polls. In response, UMNO Youth Chief Dr. Akmal Saleh, who is Merlimau Assembly person in Melaka, suggested that the two parties should just clash. He said there's no need to pretend to give warnings. Let's just fight. Enough talking. If you like the stories we produce, consider supporting us by subscribing to Malaysia Kini. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on your screen to subscribe. The Selangor government has decided to put its proposed centralized pig farming project in Bukit Tagar on hold following protests from residents in surrounding areas. Selangor Menteri Besar Amiruddin Syarul reportedly said the issue had been discussed at the State Executive Council level. He added that State Executive Councillor for Infrastructure and Agriculture Isham Hashim had been instructed to identify an alternative site. Sina Harian quoted Amiruddin as saying that Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim was informed of the matter last Wednesday, January 21st. Amiruddin also stressed that the state government would not disclose any potential locations or alternative proposals at this stage, as no final decision has been made. He acknowledged that the issue requires more careful handling, including improved stakeholder engagement, a social impact assessment, and a more structured process. According to Amiruddin, confusion and misunderstandings at the early stage had created the perception that decisions were made hastily. He added that the government is seeking a solution that is fair, reasonable, and does not disrupt social harmony. On January 17th, Amiruddin said the state government had yet to identify an alternative location to replace Bukit Tagar as the proposed relocation site for pig farms in the state. However, he emphasized that the government remains open to discussions with all parties to ensure a more orderly and comprehensive livestock management system. Former UMNO leader Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz has been appointed to PKR's Political Bureau as an ex-officio member. Zafrul was accepted as a PKR member in July last year after he tendered his resignation from UMNO and announced his intention to join PKR on May 30th. PKR Information Chief Fahmi Fatil announced the matter in a statement last night, following the party's Central Leadership Council's monthly meeting earlier in the day. Economy Minister Akmal Nasir, Youth and Sports Minister Taufik Johari, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa and Penang Deputy Chief Minister Wan Muhammad Abdul Hamid were also appointed to the Bureau. Meanwhile, Sabah State Minister Jamawi Jaafar, as well as PKR's candidates during the previous Sabah elections, Ruji Ubi and Yamani Hafiz Musa, were also appointed as ex-officio members. Fahmi further stated that the PKR National Congress will be held between June 25th and 28th in Melaka, with detailed information on the event to be issued by the party's headquarters soon. Last week, Tasik Gulugo MP Wan Saiful Wan Jan invited PKR's Rafizi Ramli to revive a 2015 proposal to bar the Prime Minister from concurrently holding the finance portfolio. Wan Saiful said that while the government's plan to impose a term limit on the Prime Minister's position is a step in the right direction, it will be meaningless if the Premier is still allowed to serve as Finance Minister. Following this, Kinitv conducted a poll to gauge public opinion on Wan Saiful's call to revive the proposal. Here are the results. The majority of voters at 71% agree with his suggestions, citing the need for greater accountability as well as stronger checks and balances. Meanwhile, 18% disagreed, arguing that such a move could disrupt the stability of Malaysia's government administration. 10% felt that the proposal requires more comprehensive planning before it can be implemented. What are your views on Wan Saiful's suggestion? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.